This is Rough Drafts Welcome,
the podcast where you can mess up, and we can too.
I'm Sachiko.
And I'm Erin.
And together with the editors at Salt and Sage Books,
we're changing the face of storytelling, one rough draft at a time.
We're glad you're here. Let's get started.
Hello, Sachiko. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am so glad to see you. I'm doing well. Okay. This is gonna be a longer episode, so I vote we'll rock and roll right off the bat.
Let's do it.
We're talking about indie publishing some more. So if you're listening
part two.
Yeah, if you're listening on podcast, this might be one where you want to come over to YouTube. Just because I'm going to be sharing my screen and talking through a lot of stuff. You obviously don't have to. You can do what you want. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, then come on over. I will do my best to explain as we're going, so that if you are on the podcast on the audio only, you can still understand what we're doing. But yeah, you may want to come over to the YouTube to join us on this visual adventure. So, okay. Sachiko, will you give us a rundown of where we left off last time? Just set the stage for us.
Last time we talked about basically how do you indie publish from start to finish. So we started with having an idea, K-lytics and market research. So finding that great category, how to find the category, which numbers to look for, so you know which category you want to try to write towards, and then finding the genre expectations in that category. Mm-hmm. So we left off at the moment where we actually write the book.
Yes.
And I think this is hilarious, okay, because you and I have spent a lot of time in the writing world, in the writing conference world, writing workshops, and there's a lot of time spent around the experience of writing and how to write a book. And that's just a tiny part of indie publishing and not even the most important part. And so
we're kind of going to zip over the writing bit a little bit today.
You've got your stuff. You've got the genres you need to hit. You're working them into your book. Good luck. You've got a book. And basically, it doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is that you just have something that you can produce quickly and that you can reproduce a lot of. Mm-hmm. So quantity and speed is really important here. So You've got the book, and now what do we do next?
Now what? So I just want to put one tiny little asterisk on that, is that if you can indie publish for a bajillion different reasons, and in episode 1 of this thing, we talked about that this is really the way that we would suggest to do it if you are writing specifically because you want to earn money. This is your career. You are going to understand the system. You're going to work the system. So if you are out here and you're doing indie because it fulfills your heart and you want to write different things every time, we are not here to tell you not to do that. This is just the pattern that we have seen works for people who want to make this their full-time job and earn enough money to replace their regular full-time income.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where we're at. Okay. So you can do these next two parts kind of anywhere in the process. So let's get them out of the way first.
Yes.
First is you need to get a cover. You need a cover for your book. And specifically, if you're writing to market, you need a cover that reads genre. Mm-hmm. And as you are doing your research and you're getting into the different genres, and especially if you're already a reader in those genres, you're going to know the way that books go through cycles. The covers will all look fairly similar for a little while, and then someone else comes out with this brand new, very shiny, very different cover, and then all these new things start shifting and moving. So you do need to keep an eye on that. It is not uncommon in the indie world to recover your novels, to get new covers and kind of relaunch them, basically.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to get a cover at some point. I personally because of the way that I write, it works better for my brain to wait to get a cover until the book is written. Because I'm the sort of person that if I make an outline, I am guaranteed to not follow it. So it's better for me to wait, because then the story can actually match, the cover can actually match the story.
Right.
But if you're the sort of magical human who can write an outline and you know what you're going to do, and you know that's actually what it's going to turn out like, you can get a cover at any point in the process. Some cover artists are booked out fairly significantly into the future. So that is one of those things, figure out who you like, figure out what styles that you like, and book them sooner than later.
And
Really.
generally, cover artists will focus on one or two genres so that they can keep their eye on the genre trends. We both have a friend in common who is a cover designer, and she has said that, and I've heard this from other people, that, and this goes for covers and for writing, that you want it to be 80% familiar and like 10 to 20% novel, like new. Just a little bit of standout, and it needs to look good in thumbnail. A good cover designer is going to know how to make things look good in thumbnail, the right proportions, and this goes for if you decide to try your hand at making your own cover. Remember that the cover is there to sell the story and not to tell the story.
Yes.
So, it's a very common newbie mistake, especially if you're making your own cover, which, hey, no shame. We all have the budgets we have. It's not there for you to load the entire story onto. It's just there to signal to potential readers which genre your book is in. That's all it needs to do.
Yep.
Also, some people I know will buy covers because they sell pre-mades in batches, and that's a lot cheaper. And then they write to match the cover. This is especially great for like romance.
This is me. I have a cover graveyard.
It's a cover library, darling. Hey, yes, I have a fabric library. It's okay. It's okay.
I like that. We'll call it a library instead.
We stash. It's okay.
So the places where you can find cover designers is Facebook. Honestly, that is where I have seen. That's where most of the cover artists that I'm aware of hang out. Ways that you find them is you just search book cover and then you scroll through the groups until you find someone and you're like, oh yeah, I like these ones. Join. And sometimes they're broken up by genre. So it'll be like romance book covers or fantasy book covers or urban fantasy book covers, whatever. So you join that group, you keep your eye out, and then slowly and surely, like, you learn who the cover artists are that you really like. Sometimes you can find out, like, if you see a book where you're like, oh my gosh, must. Sometimes you can find out who that cover artist is just through some Googling. Sometimes you can just ask in the indie publishing groups that you're in, and people know. They're pretty willing to share, too. I have yet to meet a single indie author who was, like, possessive or gatekeepy of their cover artist. Very much like the opposite I have felt has been true. They're very much like, oh, yes, I love this person. I want to send them more business.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Which is it's a really good, if you're new to publishing, if you're new to writing, assuming everybody else is a collaborator and that their success will give you more success is just the best way to proceed.
That
just
really has been my experience
and it really
with the
is
indie community. Yeah. Honestly, with all of the writing community, I mean, of course, there are some people who are not like that, but my vast, broad experience has been that people are really pretty wonderful and willing to share.
Yeah. I agree.
So you have your cover at some point. If you want like super duper specific resources, you guys can comment below and I'll give you some of the links that I have because there are a lot. We just don't have time for all that right now.
This is just a brief overview of your punch list. And you need your ISBN.
That's the next thing we got to talk about. Yes. ISBNs, man. Okay, I feel incredibly grouchy about ISBNs, so let's acknowledge my bias real quick. If you are not based in the US, this is going to be a different process for you. I know that in Canada, they can just get ISBNs for free.
What?
Rude.
Wow.
Rude. But in the United States of corporate America, you have to purchase a USBN. So Amazon is going to tell you, oh no, we'll just provide you an ISBN like it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. You do what is right for your budget, okay? You do what is right for your budget. But the second that you take an ISBN from Amazon, they own your book.
Oh.
To a certain extent. And people who know copyright law are going to have to come in and correct me with more information than that, because that really is about as far as my knowledge goes. But if you do not own your own ISBN, whatever company owns your ISBN technically has the rights to your book. So, and that's all part of like, if you're putting it up on Amazon and you're going through, we'll talk about all those things. Like, you really, please read the terms of service, because sometimes they say things in there that you might not be comfortable with. Yeah. So for me, one way to protect myself is to get an ISBN and to purchase my own. There is only one place that you can purchase ISBNs in the United States because it is a monopoly, and apparently we're cool with that. Again, grouchy. I'm mad about this. It's Bowker is what it's called. Bowker. And if you literally just look up, like if you go to Google and you type in buy my own ISBN, it will direct you to Bowker. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. I would recommend if you can swing it in your budget and if you intend to have more than one thing published, I would buy in a pack of 10. It's still not cheap, but it does lower the price significantly
like
per.
Going to Sam's Club.
Yeah, you'll have to like go over here with your Costco bag of ISBNs. But the other thing to know about ISBNs is that if you are going to you need a different ISBN for each format of your piece. So if you have a Kindle, like if you have an e-reader one, that's one ISBN. If you have a paperback, that's an ISBN. If you have an audiobook, that's an ISBN. If you have a hardcover, that's an ISBN. If you need to issue like a version 2 with new, fancy, updated, or like an omnibus of all those things, you're going to need new ISBNs for all of those things again. This is not to say that like if you're making tweaks to your book or if you're like, ooh, I'm going to add a chapter here because this makes so much more sense. Okay, we're going to do a reprint. This is 2.0 or whatever. You do not need a new ISBN for that. But if you are significantly changing the piece, it needs a new ISBN. So, yeah.
Get a bunch of them.
Get a bunch. Well, and they go so quickly. That was one of the things that surprised me when we were very first getting into publishing the incomplete guides. I did not realize initially that you had to have different ISBNs for each of the different formats. And that was a little bit of a sticker shock moment for me because I was over here like, oh, we'll only need to buy one. It can't be that expensive. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha.
Oh.
So again, you work with the budget that you have. If you need to take one of Amazon's things, you do that and don't feel ashamed of any of those things. If you want to take it back later, you just pull that copy down, you make significant changes, and you re-release it under your own ISBN. That's fine. You can do that. But what you'll notice is that when you look at people's Kindle pages, if you scroll down to like where it says their KDP ranking, it will also tell you who the publisher is. And if you if you just received your ISBN from Amazon, it will say Amazon is the publisher. So they are the publishing house, which means that they get to, anyway, they have a lot of tax stuff that goes into that.
Good to know.
Yeah. So if you have your own, that's where you'll see things like this is published by whatever press, or like on ours, it says Salt and Sage Books, because we are the entity that owns the ISBNs of those manuscripts. So order an ISBN, get a cover. You have your book, you have your ISBN, you have your cover. The next thing that you need to do is get some outside help. And this is going to vary person to person. I know some people who are like, nope, I write it totally in isolation. I don't hire anybody and just, I put it up. Rock on. That kind of frightens me. That idea of doing that, just like, let's go. I know I like external help, but again, this is going to depend a little bit on your budget and who your friends are and what favors you can trade. But we'll do just a real quick overview of like, what are the different sorts of edits that you can get? Not necessarily what you should, again, up to you, but the edits that you can get. So Sachiko, I know you're ready. Yes.
So here are the 3 kinds of edits, guys. Here's, first we're going to go with a line edit. Now, line edit is what most people think of as editing. That's somebody who goes through everything and they check your flow, they check your prose, they check your details for accuracy. So if you make a claim about a historical fact, a science fact, they're going to double check it. If you're saying, if you have your characters sign and smoothing down their skirts 5 times in a chapter, they're going to note that. If, whatever else it is, they're going to check you for continuity. They're going to check you for flow. If you have to pick just one edit, this is the edit to hire out. Okay, so the other edit that I think most people think of when we talk about editing is proofreading. That's just checking for spelling and grammar. The third edit is something that not a lot of people outside the writing industry know about. That's developmental edit, which is something that I have done. This is something, if your book is stuck and you're not sure why it's not working, this is the editor that you want to call in, because a developmental editor looks at things and they look at the flow of character, story, plot, world building, and they'll help you nudge those ideas around so that you can go from there, make it a deeper, richer book that has a more logical plot, flow, characters that might be more relatable, that might embody the themes and the genre expectations that you want to have in there. So in my personal opinion, if you are struggling with a series and you need to make something fit with the series, you need a developmental editor. If you can only hire one kind of editor, get a line editor just so your stuff makes sense, because you can always try to run your book through like Grammarly, spell check, all the other things for just the very, very superficial prose level errors. If you cannot afford an editor, and a lot of people are here, especially when they're starting out, see if you can trade with another writer. There's a lot of ways to do this cheap or free. Everybody benefits from having another set of eyes on their work, even if it's a free set, even if it's just for a beta read or an alpha read. Get that set of eyes on your work if at all possible. If you choose not to have anybody take a look at your work, which, I mean, I kind of feel like the whole point of a work is, for most people, especially if you're selling it, is to get eyes on it and money. Getting it out there and making sure that it's in its best possible iteration to be read is a really good idea. If that's not the point of writing it for you, if you just need it to exist for your own self, do whatever you want. And really, I don't mean that with any rancor. Seriously, that's great. Do whatever is working for you.
Yep, I agree. One of the things that I really love about indie publishing is the way that it has removed gatekeeping. And yes. I'm going to use the word gatekeeping. I don't necessarily agree with that as the term, but it has removed the people who you previously needed to please or impress in order to get to a certain point. So that means it has opened up the gates of publishing and the accessibility of publishing really, really, really wide. And I know some people aren't happy with that, but I feel pretty firm in my opinion that anything that makes art accessible is what we want. That it is going to move us forward in a positive way. That's totally not to say you can't have your own feelings about it. You're welcome to disagree with me. You can fight in the comments about it. But like exactly like what you said, there is no shame to my mind in using Grammarly. There's no shame in using Pro Writing Aid. And if I were to recommend one over the other, I would personally go Pro Writing Aid, especially because you pay for it once and then you just have it. And yeah. I've been really impressed with Pro Writing Aid. And Pro Writing Aid is so helpful. Like it is a step in my process as I'm writing my books. And I'm still hiring out other people as is appropriate for each project. But Pro Writing Aid, it gives you a chance to, and Grammarly, anything that is computer-based, it gives you a chance to like check the stuff. The like, oh, I forgot to put a period.
Stuff, easy fixes. Yeah, it just takes the toilet paper off of the heel of your shoe.
Yeah.
So that your book can go out there with its best foot forward.
Exactly.
And if you have the money, and a lot of people don't, sensitivity readers, mm-hmm. If you've got, if you're writing outside of your personal experience and you want that book to hit home and have a lot of emotional resonance with its natural audiences, which will be people with that same personal experience. And again, a lot of people hire out. It's important to pay editors. But if you don't have the money for it, there are still resources that are going to be accessible and affordable for just making sure that you're not making the most common mistakes.
Yep. Well, and let's just segue from that right into our incomplete guides, because we're going to talk about formatting next, and I can just share with you what we have. So in case you guys aren't familiar with incomplete guides, they were our answer as a company to some really lovely, I feel so like protective of the authors who helped us come up with this idea. Basically what we found was that our prices were too high for some people. And that's fine. Like, you know, you're allowed to have price differences. You don't have to have it be what it is. Like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not feeling any sort of way necessarily about that. Okay. Can you see this all right?
Well, I mean, our editors deserve to be paid, but also marginalized creators should be able to access what they need in order to create, you know, the works that they want to create. So we wanted to make sure to have a both and approach to it.
Yeah. So we have services available. Obviously, we have sensitivity readers who are so incredible. I love them so much. Holy goodness. We have sensitivity readers. We have dev editors. We've got line editors. We have proofreaders. We have everybody that you could possibly want. If you're like, I need help with my writing. Oh, you've come to the right spot. We are so happy to help you with all of that. And if you do not have the funds to hire editors, what you can do instead is you have them look at your outline. That can be a less expensive way to do it. And then especially if you are writing sensitivity related stuff, we have these books. So they're called the Incomplete Guides very much on purpose because we knew we could not create, like, you can't encompass everything about what it means to be a certain person or have a certain identity in a book. You just can't. So really what we've done is we have tried to take the 10 most common things that we have seen. And you can see in, like, if you're watching this right now, I have pulled up on the screen our How to Write Fat Positivity, Writing Fat Positivity. My goodness. This is one of our incomplete guides. And so you can pick this up, you can flip through, and you can see over here we have all of the chapters. We've got fat phobia and fat shaming, false equivalences, physical health. Like, we're going to go through those most common stereotypes and tropes and explain why they're concerning and what you can do instead. So if you want to write people and characters who are outside of your own lived experience, but you feel like a sensitivity reader, if it's out of reach, if you can't find somebody, please come and, come and buy our books. And yes, because it helps us financially as a company. And yes, I am always grateful for that. But also because they're
really have
so
kept
good.
them affordable.
And they're such good books. They're such good books. Like,
and we've tried to make sure that we're very specific about the stuff that we're addressing in them and how to use it, like the very practical applications.
Yes.
So even if you're really short on time, and how many of us are, we're short on time and money, we just need to be able to do something so we can move forward in what we're creating. Yeah. Here we go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we hope it helps.
You've written your book. You have your cover, you have your ISBN, you have written the book, you've hired editors that you need. You are ready to go. You are so ready to go. The next thing that you need to do is format your book. You can format in Word. You can format via PDF. You can format in Illustrator. You can format in Google Docs. Just Google how to do that.
Go back. Tell me what formatting is. So we're taking it from a document and we need to turn it into the shape of a book.
I show you.
Okay.
It will make more sense.
Do it.
Okay. So the program that I'm using right here is called Vellum, Vellum. And it is, pardon my horrible finger spelling. That was unconscious. I'm going to switch this to not included in print. Never mind. I'm going to leave this exactly as it is. So Vellum, you do have to pay for it, and it only works on Macs. So I have a Mac. Vellum is what I have available. So I really like Vellum. I format enough books that for me it was worth a purchase. Totally up to you. Again, you can find people online that do formatting. You can do your own. You can do this for free. You can. But you do need to have it formatted so that it's clear what is a chapter. Are things aligned correctly? Are they going to look good in an ebook? Are they going to look good in a print book? Like that's what formatting is. It's the making pretty of the words. So I like Vellum. An option for Windows users is Atticus. That has only recently come out. I don't know a ton about it. I've heard people praise it, but again, I have a Mac. I already have a formatting thing. I haven't looked into it. Okay, so on Vellum, all you have to do is upload, and I'm just going to show you what formatting looks like, right? So you're going to have your title page. You're going to have all of your ISBN information is very important to have inside of your book, your front matter. If you just Google front matter for published book, you'll find all of the information that you need, but at a minimum, you need your ISBNs in there. This is important. Amazon will reject your manuscript if you do not have the ISBNs listed in the document that you are uploading. They have to match. Okay, and then you have your dedication. You have your table of contents. We made a note about statistics and how important that is. And then you have letters from the authors. So we have quite a lot of introductory material here because we think it's important. But then here we have chapter 1, right? So we're going to go through fat phobia and fat shaming, and we're going to talk about fat phobia's history. We're going to talk about 19th century stuff and fat phobia and how it began with racism. And we're going to go through all the things, right? You also see here that this is where you're going to get in the formatting stage. This is where you will get the really pretty dividers in between sections, and you get to decide how you want things to look. So for example, we have this next section, the problem with BMI. It's done in small caps. But this is the sort of stuff that you figure out when you are doing formatting. So you formatted your piece somehow. This is such a quick and dirty. I'm realizing like, oh, I want to tell you guys so much more information than this. Most important things to know.
We can go into depth later.
Yeah, we can. If you really, this is like, I know I keep saying like, make comments, but like for real, we don't actually know what you want to know unless you tell us what you want to know, and then we can talk about it. So the things that I see beginning authors feeling the most confused by is you do need to have what's called front matter, which that's where you include your ISBN, that's the table of contents, that's the dedication. And then you also have what is called back matter. And that is usually where you will see like other books by the author, about the author, things along those lines. We have an afterword in ours and additional resources.
So the formatting, okay, 2 questions. Number
Yes.
1, how long does this process usually take you?
Okay, when I was formatting them by hand, it took me hours and hours and hours.
Because you were just trying to make sure all the margins were the same.
Yeah.
You're having to click all
Well,
the margins. You were
all
having
of the different like page breaks and all of the different line breaks and all of the alignments and making sure things were italicized and that it matched and that all the font matched and that if I had a different font for like the chapter titles that they were it took so long. Which is why I purchased Vellum, because so for me this was worth it.
So Vellum and programs like these, basically they just ask you to fill in the blank and then they populate the whole book with.
That's exactly it. So I'll show you real quick. I know, it's so nice. So with Vellum, and you can find so many really good Vellum tutorials online. And again, I am a Vellum nerd. I love Vellum. I think Vellum is the shit. You don't have to agree with me, but like right here, you can literally just say, I'm going to change the style of this book, and you can click a different one, and it's taking forever to load, but you could literally just click and it automatically changes everything for you. And you don't have to go through and clicky, highlight, change, clicky. So like, you see where we are now, we'll see if it'll actually work. Say we wanted to change everything to recital. Say we're suddenly like, oh, we like that. You see it automatically changed the formatting of our page break there. And then I'm going to try to, let's go back to the chapter. Yeah, like see, and it changed, it changed all of that. And like, okay, maybe we like this one instead. And it gives you previews about what it's all going to look like. It's incredibly easy to just click, change. The other thing about Vellum that for me made it so worth the purchase was that it is so easy to just do book 2 in the exact same style as book 1. And do book 3 in the exact same style as book 1.
Oh,
do book 17 in the exact same style. It is a relief on my brain to not have to remember the bits and pieces. Literally, you just have to go in and click. Like, it's easy. Like, you can see, I mean, Vellum, it's so simple. Like, you just click, it changes. You click, it changes. You click, it's so straightforward. And so simple. So I'm a big fan of Vellum, obviously, as you have probably noted. It does cost. For me, it was worth the purchase. You can find lots of places that will format it, and you can absolutely do this for free. It just will, you're investing your time as opposed to investing your money. So up to you. What feels best?
Has to be the trade-off.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that is the trade-off.
So, okay. And then before we talk about uploading, because we've just talked about hiring staff to edit, we've talked about a cover, and we've talked about formatting. These are all things that some people do for free, some people hire out for. Mm-hmm. And it all tends to be a time-money trade-off and a professionalism trade-off. If you had only enough money to do one of these things, where would you put your money first?
Ooh, that is such a good question. Hands down, I do not care how good of a writer you are, hire a good cover artist. I think that is the most important thing that you can do because, I mean, don't judge a book by its cover. Hogwash. We all judge books by their covers. And especially in a really competitive indie market where you have people just scrolling, your cover is going to be what stops them. I would invest in cover. That is over everything else.
You're right. Because everybody with indie publishing, like creating the book is one thing, but it's the marketing that really sells it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good books out there that a lot of people are just walking past.
Yeah.
And a lot of
it can be for so many different reasons, but like I feel like a cover is going to sell a book almost more than the book itself. almost more than your pitch, almost more. I mean, the number of comments that I see in reader groups where they're like, ooh, I had to buy this for the cover alone. Ooh, had to buy this because the cover's so beautiful. Like,
Right.
that is a thing that people do. So for me, and especially in the genres that I write in, cover is king. I have seen some books that have incredibly high reviews and their covers are so ugly. I'm going to say that with love, but their covers are just like, they're very clearly homemade. And again, you can do homemade covers and they can be stunning. But like every now and then you look at one and you're like, oh, that's in papyrus. Okay.
Basically, if I had to sum up what it is that I've gathered readers are looking for, they just want to be able to find the kind of story that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then when they open it, they want it to be that story that they were looking for. So if you can just keep that goal uppermost in mind, that's what the cover's for. And your editing, if you're doing it yourself, if you're trading with a friend, it's just so it's not so distracting to readers. But readers can be pretty forgiving of a lot of errors as long as a story has the genre expectations that they're looking for.
Yep. I think that is the piece that a lot of writers miss when they're switching from traditional into indie is they still have this idea in their mind that like, I'm going to say the way that I'm thinking this. They feel like the craft has to really be good.
Right.
And is it important to have good craft? Of course it is. Am I saying that indie books are all bad on craft? Absolutely not. But are there some indie books where the craft is but the sales are woo? Yes. Yes.
Because they're focusing on storytelling and consistency in what they're offering.
Yep. And their readers who have found them, they're like, I know what I'm going to get. Oh, look, you gave me what I wanted. I am so pleased. So it's a fine line to walk to balance between the two. And so my advice about like, okay, get yourself a good cover. It depends on your genre too. But I would say generally speaking, a cover is almost always a really good investment. It returns
especially
a lot.
for romance.
Yeah. Well, romance, anything fantasy, anything high concept, anything where people can look at a thing and be like, oh, that belongs to X genre. The cover is going to have very specific things that you need to think about, things to consider. So I would always hire a cover artist first. If I had a little bit of leftover budget, I would probably hire, depending on my budget, I would hire a line editor.
Yeah.
And if I had a little bit left over after that, I would hire somebody to make the book pretty on the inside. And I feel guilty for like skipping over proofreaders and dev editors. But like if your goal is to spend as little money as possible and get the most bang for your buck, I think that is where you will go.
No, I agree. I think that that's secondary. I think that somebody who's already doing well and they want to make sure that their series is very pretty or they have a series that's already doing well. At that point, that's when you can hire out the proofing or get a dev editor to come in and.
Well, and honestly, if you are looking to if you're like, all I really want to do is focus on being a really good storyteller. Like, I don't care so much about the prose. I don't really care if I start every single sentence with and. I don't care if the only word that I use to describe speaking is whispered. If none of that feels important to you, and crucially, if that doesn't feel important to your readers, then skip it. Don't spend extra money on things that they don't care about. But like if you're writing a mystery, your plot had better be tight. It had better be tight.
And if you are writing romance, you have to write the happily ever after. I'm sorry, but you do. There are a few fans. There is a small but vocal minority who get very passionate about any perceived or found grammatical error. And they will tell everybody. But that is nothing like
get the
how
comments.
Fans react to a lack of happily ever after.
Yeah. You'll get people in the comments being like, this really needed to go back for a proofread. That's fine. Because that is something you can address. That is a detail problem in my mind.
It's just fixable. It's just a process.
Like you can go back in, you can click. You can hire a proofreader. You can run it through an online program. Those are fixable things. We should note that Amazon does have the ability, if readers flag a lot of errors in a manuscript, that can get your piece. It's flagged initially. They email you and they give you like a certain amount of time to fix it.
There's a lot of troubleshooting to, you know what, everyone, if you're thinking about indie writing, go join 20 bucks to 50K. There is a lot of Amazon Kindle Unlimited troubleshooting in there. and that you are going to need a lot of peer support.
Yeah, that group is a
A
gold
lot
mine.
of those tech issues. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Yeah, that group it's incredible. Okay, so you've done all of the things. Now you're ready to upload, and we're just going to do a super quick.
Yay.
I say this every time. This will be fast, and then it's not fast. This is okay. You guys know by now. You've been listening to the podcast along the way. You know how we are. You know we chat. It's fine. Okay, so what you're going to do to publish to Amazon, and again, you can publish to a lot of different places. You can do this a lot of different ways. I'm just going to talk about Amazon. One tiny plug, if you're like, I hate Amazon, I want to go wide, I want to do this instead, I would strongly recommend, I really like the service at Draft2Digital, like the number 2, draft2digital.com. They're really solid, and they have distribution channels that make it really easy for you to publish all of the things.
And some people do. It's they start up their own website, they go wide, they're Amazon vegan, and they make it work.
Amazon vegan. Yeah. I love that.
You do you.
So once you're on Amazon, though, what you're going to do is go to kdp.amazon.com. It's Kindle Direct Publishing, kdp.amazon.com. You have to sign in, then you put in all the tax information, yada, yada. This is the page that you're going to see. Okay, so we are going to just real quick go through, and we're going to create one, and I will show you our bookshelf really fast. So you can see right here, we have our How to Write Autistic Characters and our Writing Fat Positivity. You can see the prices here. Ours are $4.99 on Amazon for the Kindle and $12.99 for the paperback. You can then over here, you can edit your book deals, your content, book details, your content, all those things. If you want to do advertisement, this is the place that you go. So it's all through KDP. This is where you can create a hardcover, you can add audiobooks, things all along those lines. You can manage your series. So this is your bookshelf of all of your stuff. So let's make a new one. All you're going to do is click create. It's very exciting. This gives me like a little dopamine hit every single time that I do it. It gives me great delight. So we're going to do a Kindle ebook just for quickness. You can follow the rest of them. They're great. For as much as Amazon is in a lot of places, their like walkthrough wizards are pretty solid. So we're just going to do sample book. You do need to select the language. And then this one won't have a subtitle. We will not make it part of a series. We're not going to worry about the edition numbers. So we're going to say Salt and Sage books. And again, making stuff up here. I'm just trying to put it in so you can see. You can add anybody who was part of this. This particularly, I love doing this for illustrators. It makes me feel very happy to do that. And then you're going to do a description. This is a test description of this fake book. Yay. This is your blurb. Where you write description, this is your blurb. This is where you're going to want to say, in a world where everyone must choose a husband before the age of 7. Blah, 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 blah.
And this is one of those genre expectations. There's a lot of free resources. Check the groups.
Yes.
Google online how to do a blurb.
The other thing you'll see here that a lot of people will do is that you actually change you can bold things, you can make them bigger, you can literally put in code. Like, you can go nuts with this if you want to go nuts with this. You absolutely have to own the copyright and the necessary publishing rights. Please don't publish other people's stuff. Public domain work, something different. You can click through that on your want. This is a new thing since last I did Amazon's, actually, which I think is kind of delightful. The primary audience, do you have sexually explicit images? Or does the book contain sexually explicit language? So you'll notice here that this specifically only references the book's cover and the book's title. In my opinion, it is smarter to also err on the side of your content. You'll see people that disagree with that. For me, that feels important. I don't necessarily want my yummy smut getting into the hands of a 12-year-old, unless that 12-year-old is intentionally hunting and their parents are cool with it. So for this one, we'll just click no. You can select the reading age, totally up to you. I feel like this is particularly important if you're writing for children or young adults, where you can say these are kind of the age ranges of the people, because then that will help Amazon to categorize it better. We're going to leave it alone for now. Primary marketplace, again, same thing. Categories is going to be, do you remember when we went through and we found all those different categories that like, ooh, this would be a great category for my book. This is where you do the categories. You can see here, you can do 3. I'm talking really quickly. I'm aware of that. I hope all of your ADHD brains are very happy with this. Let's say we're going to do crafts, hobbies, and homes. And then the subcategory, we're going to do gardening and horticulture. Why not? This is about bonsai and fruit and shrubs. Cool. 3 out of 3 category placements selected. Please select all 3. Select all 3. You want Amazon to put you into as many categories that are appropriate as possible. You can dig through all of those subcategories. One thing I will say is that if you are going in here looking for a specific category, like if you did all of your digging and you were like, wow, bonsai is like the perfect subcategory for me, sometimes you're not going to be able to find the subcategory. They're not always listed on this, which is annoying, but sometimes you're not going to be able to find them. So it is good to have some backup categories that you are willing to put your book into if you cannot find the ones that you want. So I think it's important to, like, you have your top 3, you have your shiny big goals, and then you have 2 or 3 other ones that you're like, and if I can't, then I will also, I'd be perfectly happy to be listed in these categories as well. Okay. Makes sense?
And this is something you can change again later, right?
Oh, yeah. You could put it in a new category every minute if your heart so desired. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Okay, keywords. This is one where I learned a lot of sneaky tricks, specifically from the guy who runs Publisher Rocket. So if you don't know Publisher Rocket, I would suggest go buy that too. Hi, spend so much money. Keywords are just keywords. They're important. The thing about keywords that I will see people do a lot, they'll be like romance, first love, silver fox. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. Don't do that. You are wasting so much space. Instead, write silver fox, handsome man, age, gap, older, romance, billionaire. Okay, billionaire won't fit. And then you can put so many keywords into the thing. So don't just, it tells you like choose up to 7 keywords, and that makes people think, oh, I can only pick 7 words. But no. Stack those things. Stack them.
Good
Make them big. And fill in all of them. Okay, and then this is where you can release your book now, or you can make it available for pre-order. That's totally up to you. It's pretty easy to keep track of. If you do pre-order, you must meet the pre-order deadline. They will be very clear with you when it is. They will give you a deadline. They will do a countdown. You must upload your piece by the specified time, or you lose your ability to do pre-orders for a year. You have to meet your pre-order stuff. We can talk all about all of the things. We can talk about pre-orders and like all the potential hiccups that go with this. We have seen this. One time I put the book up for pre-order and it was like counting down, and I'm over here like sweating bullets trying to get some weird formatting issue to work. This was before I had Vellum. It was terrible. It was so stressful. You were on chat with me and you're like, you can do it. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. This is horrible. Don't stress your outlook. Don't do that. Do not borrow trouble for your pre-orders.
You don't, unless you enjoy recreational stress. It is a free drug.
Who are we to judge you?
I mean,
who are we to judge you? Here we are doing this for fun that is not stressful at all. Okay, so I'm going to upload the manuscript. This is literally just a Word document that I have, right? Bing, bang, boom. Excuse me. And hopefully it's not going to take too terribly long to upload. Okay, good. It is going to process my file, and it is later going to make me preview my file to make sure it does not look weird. Okay. So it's uploaded. You can use their cover creator. You are allowed to do that. You can play with that all you'd like. Some of their stuff is fine. Some of it's fine. Some of it looks very homemade.
I believe that's called damning with faint praise.
Yeah. This is where I want to put in a little plug too about AI covers. I personally...
Oh, this is a huge...
it is such a conversation right now in the indie community.
Rail, so...
Yeah. So it is up to you to determine what your own personal morals are about using AI for your books. That is your choice. You get to decide what you're going to do with that. We will not tell you one way or the other what you should believe or feel. But as you will see right down here, do you see? You do need to disclose that.
And you should be aware that should you use AI in the creation of any of your book's content, the inside or the cover, that is fighting words for a lot of other people in the community, especially the indie pub community, and especially in just the writing, creation, or artistic community as a whole. This is going to be a major issue. So be ready.
Just be aware of it. And if it is something you feel good about, then You do you. But yeah, definitely be aware that there is conversation happening around it. And
Great deal of discourse.
Yeah. If I were to approach it personally, I would not do an AI cover for me. Different people feel different things about it, and it depends what you want. Okay, I confirmed my answers are accurate. I literally just uploaded some random picture that was on my desktop. What you're going to do then is click Launch Previewer, and it will pull you through everything, and you get to double check and make sure that it will let you go. This is where your ISBN is. See, Kindle books are not required to have an ISBN. Doesn't that sound so nice? That means they're going to give you the ISBN, and then they are the publisher of your piece. So if you're cool with that, then you're cool with that. Rock on. If you're not cool with that, this is where you get your Bowker thing. You copy pasta. Whatever, here's a bunch of numbers. And then the publisher will be me or whatever you want your publishing company to be. This is where if you have an LLC, this is where you put the name of your LLC, because then your LLC gets to write off all of the fees that you incurred while you were doing this. So if you really want to be a clever duck, you build your LLC first, you get that thing registered, and then you keep track. I paid this much for editors. I paid this much for cover design. I paid this much for this. And then it's all a tax write-off. I'm just saying.
Taxes for freelancers, independent artists and creators and writers, that is a tricky subject all its own. So
okay, it's mad at me. Enter a valid ISBN. I'm just going to leave it blank, but this is where if you were to do your own, you would put it in there, okay? It'll keep erroring me, so we're not going to do that. So the last page is your pricing. We talked a little bit about pricing when we were in the last episode about this, but the main things that you need to know is whatever is within the marketplace, that is where you should price your book. If all the books in that marketplace are $6.99, price your thing at $6.99. If you're thinking like, oh, I'll just start it at like 99 cents because so many people will purchase it, then that doesn't seem to be a given. You're welcome to play with it. There's a whole
psychology to pricing, guys, and this is something, guys and all gentle folk, it's something to look into.
We're using guys as like a California neutral. You guys.
California neutral. That's exactly, well, I did actually. Yes, that was partly where I grew up. So
it's California neutral.
California neutral.
So price your book accordingly. Just because you have a lower price book does not mean that people are going to purchase it. And often people, like you were just saying, will look at those 99-cent books and be like, oh.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah. So that's a whole thing. Price within what your genres are. Okay. This KDP Select. This is Kindle Unlimited on the reader end. So this is basically you pay Amazon however much a month. I think it's like $12. You pay like $12 a month, and then you get unlimited access to every book that is enrolled in KDP Select. You get to decide. You do have to be in it for 90 days. If you are in Kindle Unlimited, you are not allowed to have your book listed anywhere else. So like if I have my book on Amazon in Kindle Unlimited, it would be against their terms of service for me to then go and list my book on Apple Books or to put my book in Barnes & Noble or whatever it happens to be. It has to be exclusive through them if you're going to do KDP Select. KDP Select is a fabulous idea for some genres and an idea for other genres. Depends on your genre. Look at the genre. Look at all the things that say Kindle Unlimited on them. Figure out if your genre is one of them that uses KDP or not. Kindle Unlimited is also excellent if you have really long books. So like the people out here who are selling like their 800-page novel for $4.99, they earn a lot more money through KDP Select because you get paid per page read. So it depends. There's a little bit of
read through.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The read through. So, and especially if you have a larger book, your pay through or your payment with KDP could be significantly higher than just the money that you're making on individual book sales. So, but that's something to figure out within your genre, within your own personal piece to see if it works. And if you want to try it, you can give yourself 3 months and see what it does to your income.
Yeah, basically with indie publishing, everything is based on pivot. All of these things, they are changeable. Just the idea is that you try it and then you change it if it doesn't seem to be working. You just keep pivoting.
Yep. Okay, so let's say the market that we are in right now is going to charge $6.99. I up here selected that I want them to just apply everything, all territories worldwide. You can do individual territories if you want, do whatever feels good to you. You do have to select a royalty rate. So let's just look at this real quick. If we select, we want to receive 35% of the royalty, you're going to notice the difference in delivery fee right here. So if you have a really, really, really big book, the delivery fee for your book is going to be more expensive, which is basically how much money does it cost Amazon to like host your book and then to have someone download your book. Personally, I think this is silly and that they should just pay for it themselves, but whatever. And then you can see here, this is your royalty rate. So with this particular book where the delivery is very low, it's going to make a lot more sense for us to select 70%, right? But if your delivery rate is really high, you notice on the 35% royalty, you don't have that same delivery fee. So you just kind of have to do some of your own math, figure out what works for your book. If you're doing like a really picture heavy book, then it might make more sense for you to choose a lower royalty because that will offset the delivery fees. So do the math, figure out your whole thing. You can go in, you can change all of these individually. I personally think that that's a lot more work than I want to do. Then you just hit publish. I'm not going to publish this one because it is garbage. But that's how you do the whole thing. And it's really, I don't feel like it is that complicated, honestly. Like they have made it as straightforward as possible. There are definitely pieces in there that you need to be like, oh, whoa, hang on a minute, and figure it out as you go.
But most of it is something where you can just, for free, just go and check the listings on Amazon and see what the other books are doing.
Yep.
Like this is, indie publishing is one of those things where you just look to whoever's doing well and you just kind of try to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. One other thing, let's talk super fast about pen names.
Yeah.
Let's talk super fast about pen names. Pen
names,
names.
This is such a thing that, especially for new people, this is a big one that comes up a lot.
Okay. So my personal rule of thumb, and again, I'm sorry, you guys, this is long. I don't know why I'm apologizing. You can listen to us at 2x speed. It's fine, brain. We're fine. Okay. With pen names, my short and fast rule is, first of all, will your real personal life be potentially negatively impacted by the books that you're writing? That is option one. So like if you are a teacher and you also write steamies, a pen name's a real good choice, y'all. Pen name is a real good choice. If you are going through a divorce and you don't want your spouse or your soon-to-be ex-spouse to like be aware of these other financial assets that you have, use a pen name. I mean, and that'll all come out in the divorce name. I am not giving divorce advice. That is a potential concern, though. If you don't want your family members to read what you're reading, if you don't want it to be associated with you for literally any reason. So like I use a pen name with my indie stuff, and that is because I am also pursuing traditional publishing. And the traditional publishing is under my legal name, and the indie publishing is not under my legal name because I don't want the two to conflict. When people look up, oh, books by Erin Olds, I want them to find the genre that I write, traditional. I do not want them to find the genre that I write for my pen name and vice versa. I don't want people to be hunting down my pen name and then be like, oh, here's this like very, very, very queer historical that she wrote. That seems a little bit like not like anything else that she's writing over here, where she's writing like urban fantasy, right? They're very different. So authors also separate by genre often within the different pen names, and that can be smart. You can decide not to do that. There's a whole bunch of discussion about that all over the indie world. But a pen name where you would do that is where I wrote Salt and Sage Books as like the author. That is where you're going to put in your pen name. And so any pen name that you put in there, that is what the pen name is going to be listed as. That will be your Amazon author page. That is the thing. So pen names can be great. You don't have to use them. You're allowed to change them whenever you want. You do have to get your cover redone.
Yeah, look around, see what the other people are doing. It's sort of like it's a little bit like a cover. You know, do you want one that kind of fits in but stands out a little bit?
Mm-hmm. There's some really, really, really funny pen names out there. There are some funny ones. You and I have found some funny ones. Some of them are just pure delights. And I've bought books solely because the pen name made me laugh so hard. Like, because they were comedy books and I read the pen name and I was like, this is going to be excellent. So it totally depends on the genre.
I mean, Chuck Tingle. It's
right. Oh my gosh, Chuck Tingle. Oh, Chuck.
Oh, Tingle. So, but you are not obligated to choose a pen name. You're not obligated to use a pen name across genres. You're not obligated to change pen names across genres. Completely up to you. I personally think they're fun. I think it's a great way to just sort of isolate the different efforts one person makes. Some people want to keep it consistent across genres because they create a whole coterie of devoted fans. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do it.
It depends on what feels good to you, and also how much brain space you have to like maintain 2 websites for each different name, or if you want to have a different mailing list for each different pen name. Some authors are just like, hey, straight up, this is the name that I write romance under. This is the name that I write sci-fi under. I send one newsletter. And so then they have it just split like for my whatever pen name fans, and then down at the bottom for my whatever pen name fans. Like, you can do that. That's allowed. That's okay. But yeah, it kind of depends what you want out of it and how much brain space you are willing to devote to.
It's just an aspect of marketing. And so marketing. We need to mention marketing because this really deserves at least one podcast of its own, if not more than one. It's huge. And this is the real part of it. It's not just writing, it's about marketing.
I'll be straight up with you. Marketing is the thing that makes me cry. All of these other things, like, I can do them if they're hard. If I get negative comments, I don't like negative comments. But, like, I have built systems within myself to handle all of that kind of stuff. Marketing, I hate marketing so much. So let us begin marketing by saying it is important. If you want your book to sell, you do have to do it. Amazon has marketing things that you can do that if you go back to that KDP page, there will be a button that says promote and advertise. They'll walk you through how to do it. There are tutorials all over the place online.
It can be as simple as you want to make it. It can be as free as you want to make it. There are options to start small and free.
And there are options
I personally would take
to hire people who know what they're doing, and then you save your time. So it really depends what you want. And marketing can be fun. Like if we reveal our biases. I don't like marketing. I find it really difficult. But you can market via TikTok. You can market via you're just posting regularly on Instagram. Like, that counts as marketing. Sending stuff to your newsletter, that counts as marketing.
If you can be easily psyched out, I just want to share something that really helps me not feel scared by the whole idea. If you can just get a small amount of devoted fans, that's all you need. You don't have to convert everyone into somebody who is buying all of your stuff. You only need a small amount of people.
It's true.
And you can do a newsletter for free to that small amount of people who opt into it, so you don't feel obnoxious about marketing to them. And a lot of people are making solid money paying their bills with a small devoted audience and a free newsletter. So it does not have to be a huge, big deal. It's easy. That's one of the things I really love, the 20 books to 50K group. I love a lot of the groups like that. Some people are really rolling. They are running on a lot of barrels, and those barrels are a significant investment of money, of profits. And it can sound it's a lot, especially for a beginner. But just focus on something free, on one thing you can do, and see how it works for you.
Let's talk super fast about rapid release, and then we'll do newsletters too. Let's talk about newsletter first, actually, since we're talking about that. Newsletters are considered, at least at this point in time at the date of our recording, newsletters are still considered like the number one way to interact with your audience and to get more reads. So newsletters, important. You do kind of need to do them. You don't have to do any of this, but newsletters are a thing that they are a very important marketing tool. MailChimp and MailerLite are both really good examples. Like, you can get free accounts with both of them. Okay, rapid release. That's the other thing to talk about. People love series. I'm sure you're not shocked. And one of the strategies to get yourself like on the map pretty quickly is that you write a full trilogy and you release them very quickly, one after the other. So rapid release. I've seen some people release like 1 week apart. I've seen people do like 1 month apart. I've seen people do like 2 or 3 months apart. It's up to you. Once you get into the month phase, most people don't consider that rapid anymore. But rapid releases come like bang, bang, bang real quick. And the idea is that you have written such a good first book that people who are like, ooh, and they have books 2 and 3 already up for pre-order and they're going to be coming soon, is that it gives people that sense of confidence. Like, oh, you're carrying through with this. Like, you're a writer who I can trust. I can invest in this story. Because a lot of readers won't actually pick up a series until it's done because they don't want to have to wait. Which
I'm one of those readers.
Same. Yeah. Like, the amount of times I picked up a book and read to the end and been like, crap, This is a trilogy.
And I am absolutely the kind of person who, when an omnibus comes out with a little bit of a discount, I bite.
Num num. Put it in my belly. Yes, please. I'm going to read it in over like 2 days. Yes. So rapid release is a tool that you can use, and it is specifically for genres where trilogies do really well. So the last time I looked, that was fantasy. It was basically any subgenre of fantasy is going to be that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Romance tends to be more standalone. So you can rapid release in other genres if you want to. They still have beneficial advantages because then you get a lot of books in front of your brand new readers all at once. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And if that feels really overwhelming, don't worry about it. Don't do it. I
personally like the idea of rapid release because I don't want recreational stress. So I like the idea of creating inventory ahead of time, having those books loaded into my little canon, and then just shooting them out.
Yep.
At intervals. They're already done. I'm already working on something else. And those things are now ready to launch out of the nest. And
I think the only real thing to be aware of if you're doing rapid release is to just make your audience aware of when they can expect your next book, like your next set of whatever. So if you're like, I rapid release these and here they are, 1, 2, 3, it is possible for your audience to think like, oh, she's a really quick writer. Like I'm going to get more stuff from her really soon. And that could be true or it could not be true. So I personally find it really helpful to in newsletters to inform people. This is also my human design stuff talking. I inform people in advance. I'm like, I just want you to know, it takes me about 6 months to write a book. So you've got these rapid releases here. The next thing you're going to hear from me is probably in about 6 months. And I hope you love the books while I am writing the next one. And you can even put that in your bio. I take 6 months or I publish once a year or you can do that. And I find that really helpful as a reader because then I'm like, ooh, follow author because eventually something is going to come and it's going to be wonderful. But yeah, that's the only real downside I see to rapid release, if it feels like something that's nice to you, is that it's possible to set that expectation that readers then might get frustrated by.
Especially if it's something you would take personally if readers are frustrated. That's been a whole thing, with Ilona Andrews. They have what they call the BDH, the Book Devouring Horde. And the biggest effort they spend on their blog is just having to consistently reset expectations around when people can expect the next book. They're sort of a victim of their own success. And I wish for that for all of us.
Amen.
We have fans who are so devoted that they are going to harass us into the next book. But if that's going to be something that would stress you out, and it would stress me out.
It would me too.
Set that expectation.
Yeah, and just be really upfront with your readers. That's the thing is I think that part of the beauty of indie publishing is that it has really closed the gap between writers and their readers in a way that traditional publication only dreams about, honestly. And it's more now because we have TikTok and we have Twitter and we have all the things. But
I almost want to wax poetic about it. Everybody, the archetypal image of the storyteller around a fire and everybody's just listening and interacting with the story and it changes the storyteller in response to I feel like we're getting really close to that with our very visual, immediate social media. And
I agree.
I love it. I think it's really, really great. I think it's a really cool way for us to tell stories to each other.
I agree. I think it's pretty neat. Okay, this has been a very long episode. And if you stayed clear until the end, you get a gold star. Ping! There's a gold star for you.
And a lot of free information.
From people who already like you. I don't disagree. Alrighty. Thank you all so much for listening. And we will see you. This is actually our penultimate episode for this season. So we will see you one more week. And then we are going to take a break for the summer. And so thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
This has been Rough Drafts Welcome.
Thank you so much for listening.
Got any questions? We would love to hear them. Got a complaint? We'll hear it too.
Yep. Leave us a 5-star review. Pretty please. And thank you. And if you want to book with Salt and Sage Books or learn anything else about what we do, or if you want to work with us or take our courses or blah, 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 you can find us at www.saltandsagebooks.com. And we're all over social media too.
We sure are.
And we'll see you next time.